Hey, welcome back to the wrestling show. We're keeping it real, goes right. Welcome back to Real Take Wrestle Talk live here on YouTube. It is me, it is El Jefe of Real Take Enterprises, or whatever the hell I'm going to call it. It's me, Omar. I'm joined, as always, with my co-host, my partner in crime, the Daniel Bryan to my CM Punk, some may say.
Maybe.
Trevor, the barman, Souton. How you doing, Trev?
I'm good, man. How are you? I know you're excited, fired up.
I am so excited. We got so much to talk about today. We have so much big news, huge news out of the world of wrestling this week. That, of course, being the CM Punk and Daniel Bryan have allegedly
Yeah.
signed with All Elite Wrestling. We also have a lot of other stuff to get to, but that's the big news. We're going to be previewing Fight for the Fallen AEW's big show, some big matches on the docket for that event tomorrow night. The GCW World Championship changes hands. Poor Nick Gage is no longer the GCW World Champ. Also, we are going to be talking about some possible returns and some actual returns, some great, some not so great from WWE. All that and much more coming up on Real Take Wrestle Talk. But before we get to any of that, be sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, remember, we'll be having our overtime segment following this show live exclusively on patreon.com/Real Take Sports. There you can go. There we'll go over some segments that didn't make our live show, but we still want to talk about. You'll get to hear me and Trevor basically bicker and shoot the shit. It'll be a lot of fun. So if you can head on over to patreon.com/Real Take Sports, select that $5 a month tier, and you'll have access to us and get to basically hang out with us for some time after the show ends. And why wouldn't you? It's only $5 a month. But this is the free one. This is what you get for free. And Trevor, let's start off by talking about the big news because I just want to get straight to it.
Just
Hello,
get it out in the
Liam.
open there.
Hello, Liam. That's what she said. Hello, Liam. What's going on, my guy? We're already getting long time no talk. Yes, long time no talk, Liam. But let's get into the big news from wrestling. CM Punk has joined AEW amid various rumors regarding CM Punk's reported ties to All Elite Wrestling and an in-ring return to professional wrestling. Cassidy Haynes, the man of the hour from Bodyslam.net, is now claiming that CM Punk is 100% going to be there and is 100% signed and going to be at AEW's Chicago run leading up to All Out in September. This is some big news. Speaking on his podcast, Haynes said that I was told he was 100% for Chicago. They want CM Punk to be in Chicago. He's 100% going to be there. And so he's very certain about it. He's said 100% about 3 or 4 times there. I have at least 8 times in this just talking about it. As you can tell, I'm very excited. AEW is going to be obviously running their 3 events in All Out Week, Rampage, Dynamite, and All Out in Chicago in the Now Arena. Another thing to add to this excitement, Living Color, which, for those of you who don't know, was the band that sung Cult of Personality, which was CM Punk's longtime song, his longtime entrance theme. Living Color has followed AEW on Instagram.
Interesting.
And look, there's a lot of other stuff that goes into this too. But Trevor, what do you make of this news that CM Punk is signed? The contract is signed, delivered. It's a done deal, and he's going to be there at All Out Week. What do you make of this?
Dude, I was so excited. Like I think I actually squealed a bit when I found out about it. I find if now there's a possibility it's not true. We don't know for sure, but fingers crossed. But if it is, this is probably one of the biggest moves AEW could have made. He's quite possibly one of the most sought after free agents out right now. I mean, if he really wanted to come back, I'm sure he had offers from a lot of other promotions to come back. Like signing CM Punk is huge, man, for anybody. But especially a promotion like AEW that is doing so many big things here recently. You know, with all the TV spots, with all the viewers they're getting and most of their live events selling out in hours. This is big. This is huge.
And to me, the most exciting thing about this is not only are we going to get CM Punk, who we know is a big star, we're going to get CM Punk for the first time in over 8 years. It's been 8 years since CM Punk has wrestled full time in America. It's been 8 years since he's actually wrestled full time. He had that one indie run in allegedly in 2019. But to me, this is like that big like, oh, they signed Hogan moment for
Right.
the AEW, and I'm not saying that they're gonna go down the WCW route, because they've proven to be actually more successful in a lot of things than WCW ever was, but AEW has a chance here now to gain legitimacy, and with this signing, when it happens, gain even more excitement about the product. And a lot of people thought that couldn't have been done any more than it was. But the product right now is golden. The crowds are amazing. The energy behind the product is amazing. The fans love it, and they're spending money on it. Like, they're selling out a lot of these big shows, and we talked about it. And I will eat my hat on this one. I said on this show that having all those shows in Chicago in the same week might be a little tiresome for wrestling fans. This changes all of that. I was wrong. Willing to admit it right here on the air. I was so wrong, because
that might be a little wrong.
Well, a little wrong. And if anyone had any ideas of buying tickets to that whole week, Dynamite and Rampage still had they still have some tickets available there. Yeah, forget about it pretty soon, because I would say like the next week or two, those tickets are probably going to fly really, really fast. The more this news heats up, and the other thing that I wanted to talk about was how kind of AEW has treated this. Because usually what we see from AEW when this kind of stuff happens is, like, when Malachi Black was released, they kind of were like, yeah, no, we haven't really talked to him. You would hear something along the lines of, well, we haven't really talked to this person about who has been released or who is a free agent. It's usually a no, and then that person either shows up or they don't. AEW's been so tight-lipped about this. They have not said anything about this or the other big signing, which we'll get to in a minute. But I think that all of that kind of points to this idea that Punk might actually be signed. And look, we know that AEW is willing to work with talents on creative. The talents basically they control a lot of their own creative. Tony Khan is the last filter, but I think that's something that Punk probably wanted. They definitely wanted. We know they have the monetary resources to get something done. The energy, like I said, behind the product is amazing, and the fans love it. So I would see why CM Punk would want to go there, and why like AEW would be the place over WWE, knowing a lot of those bridges are probably broken at this point.
I mean, it's also for a person like CM Punk, who can time and time again always says best wrestler in the world. He's another one that used to say that all the time. And with a person like that, if you go to a promotion like AEW, they pretty much promote the fact of promotional wrestling. I mean, and that is perfect for someone like CM Punk, with their established relationship with Impact Wrestling, with their established relationship with NWA, with New Japan, like
AAA.
AAA, like the sky's the limit, and a guy like CM Punk would flourish in a system like that. So I can understand why this would be a perfect sign for him.
I agree. I fully agree. I cannot wait to see company man Phil Brooks Punk in AEW. When Cult of Personality hits in Chicago, it's going to be one of the best moments, like, honestly, of the modern era in wrestling, because it's just like it was that moment. I'm gonna be reminded of it, like, kind of like how I remember the debut of Jon Moxley at Double or Nothing. Like, shows up, automatically changes the face of the business, and it's gonna happen again probably when hopefully CM Punk shows up. So we'll talk about Punk in a later segment too, because there's another thing that we're going to talk about as well. First of all, these two clowns are in the chat. Cincy and Liam, we love you guys. You crazy motherfuckers, you. Just a note here, guys. CM Punk owns the name CM Punk, so he will be called CM Punk wherever he decides to go.
Yeah.
So he owns that name. But I do like I do like CM Funk. CM Funk it would be a good bridge name, I think.
Oh, this
Um, let's continue though. AEW didn't only have one major signing that was reported on this week. They had two, and boy, oh boy, was this arguably my favorite one. Not, it was inarguably my favorite one. Guy, Trevor, I'm so excited to talk about
I know
this.
you are. When you
Another,
told me about it, because I'd heard it just right before you.
yep. Another big time. Another big time signing to cap off AEW's amazing week and their biggest week in wrestling free agency in probably pro wrestling history. A report from Cassidy Haynes, the man of the hour from Bodyslam.net, noted that earlier this week, Bryan Danielson was 100% already signed. That's a quote with AEW, and tentative plans are for the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, to debut on the September 22nd show, September 22nd Dynamite show from New York at Arthur Ashe Stadium. That's the big Arthur Ashe Stadium show they're running. That's going to be their first time running New York, which is traditionally a WWE market. We know that Daniel Bryan was a free agent after his contract ran out about a few weeks after WrestleMania. And look, one of the things that Bryan noted, that places he wanted to go and things he wanted to do as far as wrestling, we know that he wanted to work in Japan with Japanese talent. He wanted to work with Okada. He wanted to work with some talent over there. We know that he wanted a lighter schedule to spend more time with his family. The dude has 2 kids. And we also know that wherever Bryan went, he wanted creative input. And those are 3 big things that AEW on the surface just offer. It never worked out with WWE New Japan, which I think was the breaking point as far as Bryan deciding AEW. But Trevor, what does Bryan putting pen to paper in All Elite Wrestling mean?
It means that, like you said before, one of the most beloved wrestlers in like wrestling history is now All Elite. And it also means that, again, All Elite is turning out to be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, dude, those 2 huge signings in one week, and not to mention the fact that not more than like 2-3 weeks ago, Malachi Black shows up on Dynamite. Like, dude, right now they are doing all the right things at the right time. But it also it can also kind of worry you. Like, are they, so to speak, shooting their load too early? You know what I mean? Are they so-called like gathering too many heads at one point? Now, I think this is the perfect time to do what they're doing. Honestly, in my opinion, in any aspect, if Daniel Bryan or CM Punk are in your organization, whether they're trainers, whether they're behind the scenes, whatever they are, I honestly believe this is great for wrestling. But like I'm sure you have your negative Nancy's that think this is just a little overkill.
Oh, yeah, because CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, they're both WWE guys. They were never anywhere else before, right, Trevor?
Of course, never, ever. I mean,
Never.
They weren't in New Japan. They weren't in Chikara. They weren't in
Ring of Honor. No. What are those things? Nothing exists outside of WWE, Trevor. Come on now. What do you think AJ Styles was? He was in obscurity before he came to WWE at the age of 40. He was
poor and broke and doing absolutely nothing before he came to WWE.
That's all cap. Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, has arrived in All Elite Wrestling, and it is the best thing that they could have done. A talent like Daniel Bryan, like Bryan Danielson, call him by his real name, folks. Bryan fucking Danielson. You're gonna get your freaking head kicked in, is what's gonna happen. But Bryan Danielson
excited.
is in AEW, unfiltered, unscripted, unhinged, all of that jazz. It's going to be amazing because we know that Bryan is arguably the best worker, best technical wrestler in the world and has been for a very long time. We know that his promo ability is second to not a lot of people. We know that this guy, he goes out there and has the best match on the card almost every single night. This is someone, I don't care what the situation is. If you have a chance and he's interested in signing on your roster, you're signing him. And Tony Khan did the exact right thing. So, no, boom, non-factor to all that anti-AEW stuff those haters like to say. Secondly, what this means is not only is Bryan Danielson going to be in AEW, but he's most definitely, when the restrictions lighten up and when that's more doable, going to go to New Japan and wrestle because of the working relationship with them. He's going to go to AAA to wrestle. You know, he wants to work in Mexico. He wants to work with talent from all around. AEW gives him the best opportunity to do that. So it's also not one of those things where Brian's going to be on AEW television every week and being in a mainstream feud, taking up time, in a mainstream feud every single week. The dude's probably going to be, 3 months here, 3 months there, but he's going to be an AEW talent. He's going to be representing the AEW brand. And that's what I like. It's like this hybrid between the territories and the contemporary, exclusive contract model, but like you're representing your territory. It literally feels like teams going up against each other, but teams that are part of like the same league, if that makes sense. I love this. I love this because what happens when all of the teams are meshing well and working and are better and more talented, what happens, Trevor? The entire league or the entire industry does better. So Bryan Danielson signing to AEW, it's amazing. Think of the feuds here. Bryan versus Omega, Bryan versus Moxley, Bryan versus Jungle Boy, Bryan versus Darby Allin, Bryan versus Eddie Kingston.
And not even talking just about Bryan. Think about CM Punk versus Jungle Boy, Darby Allin, Ethan Page. Could you imagine that one? Oh my God, that one to me is just screams. Watch me, like.
Take my money, Tony Khan. Take my money. It is amazing. We'll talk more about Bryan and Punk and their kind of ascent, I guess, now back into the mainstream of professional wrestling. By the way, for those of you guys who are asking in the chat, Liam and Cincy, but he's going to be called Bryan Danielson wherever he goes because that's his real name, and that's the name he used on the indies. In ROH and everywhere else before he came to the Fed. So do that. Also, you guys aren't really clowns. I was joking. Relax, guys. Don't be so sensitive. Don't be so sensitive, kids. Come on now. But Trevor, we'll get back to Bryan and Punk and all that, guys. Before we get to our next segment, though, be sure to like this video, help out the algorithm, give us that like. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Got daily videos. Also got a special coverage of the 2021 NBA draft this Thursday, live starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time. That's going to be fun. But Trevor, let's get to what this show is supposed to be predominantly about. Let's get to Fight for the Fallen. AEW Fight for the Fallen is going to take place live from the Bojangles Arena in Charlotte, North Carolina, July 28th, 2021. It's a stacked card full with a lot of great matchups. It's going to be Chris Jericho taking on Nick Gage. We're going to have Lance Archer defending the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship against Hikuleo. I always mess up his name. Hikuleo. Christian Cage and Jurassic Express taking on the Hardy Family Office. Santana and Ortiz taking on FTR, and the Elite versus the Dark Order and Hangman Adam Page in a 10-man elimination match. AEW Fight for the Fallen is going to be live from Charlotte, Trevor, North Carolina. It's going to be great. We know that they ran the Bojangles Arena for a big show right before COVID. That was that was a show where Cody had that spot off the steel cage. It was amazing. The crowd is electric. That is an AEW territory. Just general impressions of the card and of some of the build to this and just the product right now.
So, I mean, the product, as we know, is, of course, every promotion has its issues. And, of course, AEW has its few issues. But as far as the product is concerned, it's damn near flawless at this point. They're doing what they need to do. They're listening to their fans. They're putting butts in their seats. They're selling out shows. They're almost flawless. As far as the card is concerned, I love how, and we've mentioned this before, I love how AEW puts tag team matches center stage. You know what I mean? I love how they love their tag teams. Like, it's like 4 or 5 different tag team events on this one card. Like, in the big 10-man tag at the end. Oh my God, can't wait for it. It's a stat card. It's a complete stat card. And again, reaching out to another promotion, my man, motherfucking Nick Gage, wrestling Jericho. I think that's going to be a great match. Personally, I can't wait to see that match. Honestly.
I know you're excited about that match, so let's just talk about it right off the bat. Chris Jericho, in his second trial of Jericho, is going to be facing Nick freaking Gage, as MJF said on Dynamite last week. It's going to be a no DQ match, no rules, no holds barred. We know that Nick Gage is coming off a big match at GCW Homecoming, and he's going to be really mad, but Chris Jericho had a surprise for him. He's going to be bringing back the Painmaker, the gimmick he used when he first debuted in New Japan for his feud with Kenny Omega. He's got his little eye paint and the hat, and he's looking really scary. But the Painmaker Chris Jericho versus Nick Gage. Trevor, what do you think about this match? Who should win and who's going to win?
So, okay, again, like we've talked about Jericho. We talked about how he's one of those guys who can help carry a match, and most people that wrestle against Jericho are in great hands because they're going to have a great match. Like, look what he's done for Orange Cassidy. Look what he's done for even Jungle Boy, like other guys like that. They have great matches with Chris Jericho because Chris Jericho is one of the GOATs. He is. But also Nick Gage, like a lot of people don't talk about his in-ring ability because they don't really see it. He has it. He does. And his ability to carry matches is just as good. Like, I mean, look, he made not taking anything from Matt Cardona because I like Matt Cardona, but that match, which we'll talk about later, amazing. Even people that hated him started loving that match, loving cheering for him at some point. So he has ability to put on 5-star matches as well. I think it's going to be an amazing match. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be violent. I mean, you have Nick Gage. It's got to be violent. I think Jericho will win. Because honestly, I think that's what they're gearing up for a final clash between MJF and Chris Jericho.
MJF and Nick Gage?
I was going to say Nick Gage. That'd be fun to watch.
Oh my God, MJF would never work with Nick Gage. Like,
hell no. Nick Gage.
No, face is too pretty to work with Nick Gage.
I'm actually surprised Jericho is working with Nick Gage, to be honest with you.
Oh, dude, Jericho probably thinks he's a carny. But I feel like Nick Gage would also have, like, enough respect for Jericho not to mess with him. Because Jericho's he's Chris freaking Jericho.
I mean, he's a legend. I think he would have respect. Guy like MJF, and I think he probably trying to cut him off bucks.
Yeah. Well, but I just want to share some thoughts. Yeah, so I think obviously Jericho's going to win. He should win. This is the trial of Jericho leading up to the match with him and MJF. But for me, it's one of these things where I'm excited to not just have Nick Gage versus Jericho. That's going to be a good match. It's going to be bloody, like you said. It's going to be hardcore. It's going to be fun to watch, as JBL would say. But the thing that I'm most excited for is the fact that Nick Gage is going to finally get this big spotlight.
Yeah.
On a major wrestling promotion in front of a big crowd, in front of a television crowd of at least 1 million people. Like, this is literally the biggest show that Nick Gage has ever done. And really quickly, I want to bring it up because I know you talked about it. This really has been the best year for Nick Gage as far as name recognition, as far as getting out there, getting the matches, getting the credibility as a performer. And it's a testament to him. It's also, I think, a testament to the people at Dark Side of the Ring who were able to highlight him in such a way that it made him over and actually got to the point where people learned about him. And now people are clamoring for Nick Gage versus Chris Jericho, which a year ago was unimaginable.
Did you hear the pop he got when he was introduced?
Oh, it's crazy. It was crazy.
It was ridiculous. Like, it's one of those feel-good situations, you know what I mean? Like, when you think about Nick Gage, Nick did a lot of wrong, but he also has done a lot of good for as well. Like, but I mean, when he had going to jail, and losing his brother, like, he had all those hardships, and then he had a buddy who started a wrestling promotion who had all intent and purposes of making him a star. And when he started this promotion, he had Nick in mind. And along with him and Nick, they brought people in like without Dark Side of the Ring's help and the push that Nick got this year. You don't see Matt Cardona versus Nick Gage. You don't see Nick Gage versus Chris Jericho. I mean, I'm not going to talk about it too much more, but I mean, this is awesome. This is big for a number of reasons. Not just because I want to see this match, but just because, I mean, you don't see stuff like this happen often.
Agreed. Kids, stay away from this match.
Exactly.
Let's continue down this card. Next match, we're going to talk about Lance Archer defending his IWGP World U.S. Heavyweight Championship, against Hikuleo, who is the son of Haku. Lance Archer, most notably just off of this big win against Jon Moxley, just winning the U.S. Heavyweight Championship in a Texas death match last week on Dynamite. So he's got a little bit of some bumps and bruises, but he's fighting through it. Hikuleo, new guy on the scene really in AEW, but if you watch what he's done on the indies a little bit and here and there, he's pretty good. He looks the part, he fits the part. And he's Haku's son. Who am I to argue with that? But Trevor, what do you think about this match? For the third week in a row, the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship is being defended on AEW TV, and it's Lance Archer versus Hikuleo. What do you think?
That's just crazy to even say. Like, could you imagine like saying that like 5 years ago? Like the New Japan Championship is being defended on American soil 3 times in a row on national TV. That's something you don't hear of. Like it's awesome. It's amazing. And it's great for wrestling. This is going to be a great match. Hikuleo is absolutely amazing. Kids, if you have not seen him, check him out. He is absolutely his father's son. Absolutely.
Oh, that's terrifying for Lance Archer.
Oh, it's horrible for Lance Archer. And Lance Archer's had a great week. I mean, and he's having a bump up in his career. I mean, and let's talk about how much of a stand-up guy Jon Moxley is for like putting him over like that. That was amazing, wasn't it? That was a great match to watch.
Oh yeah, and him handing him the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship at the end was an amazing class act.
Right,
and it was deserving. It was deserving. Those two went out there, had a hell of a match.
I can't wait to see this.
Honestly, no matter how much Dave Meltzer shat on it.
Yeah, Dave, I love you, but God damn it. But no, honestly, Lance Archer wins this match.
Yeah, Lance Archer wins, but man, again, Haku being backstage, who God knows what's going to happen. If Haku comes out, all bets are off. Haku versus Jake Roberts in 2021. Who would have thought? But yeah, I also have Lance Archer winning this matchup. It's going to be fun to see, though. Christian Cage and the Jurassic Express. That is Christian Cage, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus. Not Marco Stunt, unfortunately. When was the last time Marco Stunt had a match, by the way?
Over the weekend, GCW.
There you go. But all right, so yeah, Christian Cage, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus are going to be taking on the Hardy Family Office, made up of Angelico and Helico, and Private Party, with Matt Hardy at ringside because he's too scared to wrestle Christian again. So I like the way that they've kind of built this up a little bit. It's intertwining 2 stories recently. One is obviously the story of Christian Cage versus the Hardy family and Matt Hardy specifically. But they've also intertwined a little bit of the Jungle Boy and Christian Cage. Not so much a feud, but they kind of hinted towards it,
Yeah.
Those of you who don't know, Jungle Boy last eliminated Christian Cage at the Double or Nothing Casino Battle Royale. And it's been weird. I still remember last week when Christian Cage got lifted up on Luchasaurus' shoulders, there's Jungle Boy there, and he gave him a little bit of a weird look. And if you look the promos from the week after, again, they were doing a backstage promo, and Jungle Boy, again, just gave Christian a little bit of a weird look. So it could be me reading too much into it, but I think we could be seeing a build-up potentially into a match between Christian Cage and Jungle Boy, which would love it because they had amazing chemistry and it showed at Double or Nothing. But what do you think about the build-up to this match, and what do you think about the eventual outcome?
There is a bit of a side story going on with that, with that main story. And I totally agree. Like, I mean, at first they built it like it was going to be a rivalry between those two. And then I like the camaraderie that they've given, you know, in midst of all the chaos. But again, it's one of those things you kind of see some jealousy going on. Like, hey, why? That's my friend. Why are you doing that? Like, hey, I'm on to you. Like, it's kind of something like that, and I like it. If they do it right, which AEW has been doing a lot of things correctly. They do it right, it could be a hell of a feud, and it actually could be hints to what you were talking about a few months ago with Luchasaurus turning his back on Jungle Boy. I mean,
Hashtag pay me Tony Khan.
I mean, let's be honest. Christian has had a track record of turning his back on people.
That's true.
The Un-Americans,
Edge.
Edge. Let's just be honest. But yeah, this is gonna be. I think this is gonna be a good match. I'm gonna say the Hardy family wins this.
I say Hardy family wins it too. I think we're on the same page on that one. I think like it. You know, there's only so many times your team can job and look stupid. All right, and the Hardy family office have looked pretty freaking stupid over the past few months. Also, I'm a big fan of Angelico. I think he needs to be used more. Love him. Like the fact that he's been used in this match. Yeah. I wanted Angelico to get a victory. So going with the Hardy family could very well possibly be wrong here. Trevor, we love the tag team matches, and we got 2 more tag team matches to talk about. Santana and Ortiz, along with Conan, who is going to be accompanying them to the ring, are going to be taking on FTR, that is Cash Wheeler, and Dax Hardwood, who are all going to be accompanied to the ring by Tully Blanchard. There's been a lot of build up to this match. You already have the built-in feud of the Inner Circle versus the Pinnacle, but on top of that, you have this feud of Conan and Tully Blanchard when FTR attacked Conan from behind and they pile drove him and nearly broke his neck. And Conan was Santana and Ortiz's longtime manager when they were in LAX, so there's like roots there. There's just so much built up storylines. I just love it. But there's a lot of hate here, and hey, anytime you get to see Conan on TV is amazing. He cut a promo with Tully Blanchard. I thought that was one of the best promo segments I've seen even in AEW in a while.
Yeah,
so
it was. That was a pretty good one.
What do you think about this match, the build-up, and what's going to happen?
I think it's another well put together match. Again, tag team, which according to someone, tag teams don't sell well. Well, I guess you're wrong, aren't you?
Goddamn, pal, they don't.
But yeah, I mean, dude, this is a great match. You have 2 amazing tag teams. FTR, amazing chemistry. And the funny thing is, I've always said, even when they were in WWE, they reminded me of the Brand Busters. They reminded me of Arn Anderson and Ole Anderson, and they still do. And I've said that for a long time, and I will still say that. But you also have the Santana Ortiz, which again, great tag team. I love them in LAX. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be hard hitting. This one is kind of a toss up to me, but I'm gonna go with Santana and Ortiz.
I think so too, and I think here's the thing. I would say FTR probably should win, along with some shenanigans maybe, but I think Santana and Ortiz are going to win, and I don't have a problem with it because AEW's been on this kind of like this turn where they're sending the crowd home happy kind of every night, and they're getting baby faces over. And it's kind of worked, and it's nice to see, instead of this 50-50 booking that we're used to. Right. But, I'm rooting for Santana Ortiz, so I'll go with them, yeah. Moving on to our final final tag team match. What I hope is going to be the main event, because it deserves to be. It's going to be a 10-man elimination tag team match, and the stipulation is if Hangman Adam Page and a Dark Order win, they will receive a future match at Kenny Omega's AEW World Championship, and the Young Bucks will have to put the tag team titles on the line against the Dark Order, or 2 members of the Dark Order. And if Hangman and the Dark Order lose, they cannot challenge for any of those belts, even though Hangman Adam Page currently ranked number 1 in the AEW Championship rankings. It's going to be the Elite, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, the Good Brothers, versus Hangman Adam Page, Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds. No Colt Cabana. No boom boom. But Trevor, what do you think about this? This looks like we're about to just get to the culmination of 2 years of build in this feud between Hangman and Omega. But what do you think about the build up to this specific match, the way it happened, the promos that made it up, and what's going to happen on Wednesday night?
So I feel that the build up to this match was cool, but I feel like it should have been dragged out a little longer. Not super long, but maybe just one more week, honestly. But other than that, I think it's perfect. I thought it was kind of comical at first how the Dark Order came out and was like, hey, we have a friend that deserves the shot at that belt. I thought that was funny, but also kind of cool because when you think of the story that they've been trying to tell, it shows Hangman that he actually has family. You know what I mean? That he actually has friends. He has friends, and it's kind of cool and corny and cheesy all at the same time. But it's I think it's good for wrestling. It's good TV, you know. And the build up for it is helping it, but it also could have been one of those situations that could have been nurtured just a little bit more and evolved a little differently. But I'm excited for it. I am excited for it.
Yeah, so am I. I mean, look, Hangman Adam Page, for the longest time, he's been isolated from everyone, and he's finally fighting back against those same people who isolated him, who left him friendless, who kind of abandoned him along the way in the Elite. So I think this is like the culmination to that. Now, I think there might be a chance, Trevor, that we might get some shenanigans here. And it might be a situation where, I don't know, like they lose the match, but then Hangman still ends up challenging for the belt. I don't know how that's going to work out. I don't know how that would work out. And I think, honestly, even thinking about that, I feel like that's that WWE type of booking that's kind of jaded me. Yeah. I don't think AEW do that. They're very straightforward with that kind of stuff.
They normally are, but for some reason, I have the same feeling that Dark Order and Adam Page are going to lose this match too. Like, for some reason, I have a feeling that they're going to lose this match. And I don't really know why I feel that way.
You think maybe it's because it hasn't been built up for a long time? I feel like there has been... Here's the thing. The story, if you follow it, of Hangman Adam Page over the past 2 years has been great. Yeah. But that's if you follow it. There were times where there was a little bit of detachment, I think, from that storyline. A little bit of people were like, you didn't really notice some things, or some things weren't really prominent when they were delivered, or it's all been kind of under the surface. If you notice it over time, you'll know the whole story. But for people who are just tuning in, it might be more difficult to understand. Maybe that's why. Maybe there's a little bit of a disconnect there, and that's why you don't truly believe in Hangman Adam Page. Because I kind of feel a similar way. It doesn't help that the Dark Order, since the passing of Brody Lee, have also just kind of been a comedy act, if we're being real. A lovely comedy act, but a comedy act nonetheless.
Oh, I enjoy seeing them on TV, definitely, but a comedy act. Absolutely.
Yeah. But, the more I think about it, the more I want to go with the Elite, but I'm going with Page and the Dark Order. They have to set the match up. They have to do it at some point. Better now. Build it up for All Out. Let's go. I'm ready. I'm ready for this. I'm ready for an August of Page. That's what I want. An August of Page. I feel
like if they do set it up right. So when is Omega's challenger defending his AAA belt?
It's like August 18th, I believe, at Triple Mania. Something like that.
I almost feel, and maybe this is just me, but I almost feel if you have Adam Page challenge for the belt, you have to give it to him. You know what I mean?
Oh, he's going to win. If he doesn't, Chicago will riot. Chicago will riot.
and that's kind of how where I'm at. Like, are they ready to drop the belt collector gimmick, or or they're gonna do more with it, or?
Well, I mean, I think the thing is Omega's ready to drop it because he's been wrestling injured for the past few months at this point. And I think he's getting to the point where I think he's going to start to drop these belts at some point. I think it's going to be fairly soon. And the first step in that is going to be against Hangman Adam Page. At All Out, the story writes itself.
Right. I don't think he's going to drop the AAA belt.
No, I don't think yet. Not yet. But we'll see. We'll find out at All Out live from the Bojangles Arena in Charlotte, North Carolina. You guys who are just joining us, welcome. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. let's check out the chat real quick because people have been busy. Again, Liam, I apologize for calling you guys clowns. I only watch AEW for Orange Cassidy, says Cincy Edits. Okay, that's a good reason to watch.
Great reason.
So, Trevor, Liam said Daniel and then an emoji of a brain. Daniel Brain. That's his name now. Daniel Brain. Good for you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Juggernaut says, what's up? What's up, Juggernaut? Guys, Juggernaut097. Go follow him for some amazing wrestling content as well. He does a lot of great stuff. A lot of good retro reviews. I like to check those out. Juggernaut, youtube.com/Juggernaut097. And Luchasaurus looks more like a lizard than a dinosaur, says Cincy. That's pretty true. It's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate.
It is accurate.
Yep. Again, guys, subscribe if you haven't already to get notified whenever a new video is released and all that jazz. Trevor, let's stick with AEW and just kind of talk about the state of this promotion. This is AEW's in a they've been having a wild time. AEW is arguably the hottest promotion in wrestling, the most talked about promotion in wrestling. And look, they just picked up Bryan and Punk. The crowds are hot. They're selling out quickly. They're selling out the New York shows. They just opened up more seats for that. The two best shows that they've ever had just happened. Like as far as TV shows and Fyter Fest Night 1 and 2, the ratings are consistently now over 1 million people, and it just feels like since the pandemic, or since they got out of Daly's place, since they started going touring again, AEW just kicked it to a different gear. Like it was already a hot product even with the pandemic going on, right? But I feel like they literally picked up exactly where they left off in March of 2020. With how hot and energetic this product was. But what do you think of all of this? You know, the signing of Punk, the signing of Bryan, the crowds, everything, the selling out of these arenas. What do you think it means for AEW moving forward?
Like you said it, they're hot. They're really hot right now. And it looks like nothing but blue skies ahead, honestly. Like, if they keep up the momentum they're having, it's no possible way that they won't succeed. I mean, even though there are things that can happen, and I'm not trying to wish any bad juju on anybody, but things can happen. You know, things can happen and they could falter. But at the tear that they're going at right now, I don't see it happening anytime soon. Like they have the talent, they're making the right signings. The writing is phenomenal. The storytelling is great. Like, they're giving people pretty much what they believe they want to see, and they're also taking in they're listening to the critics who are the fans, and listening to the fans and trying to figure out what needs to go, what needs to happen, what should do. They're taking advice, and to me that's the first step with a good promotion. You know what I mean? They listen to their fans, because without their fans, they wouldn't have a promotion. They wouldn't have butts in the seats. They wouldn't be there. So that's what you do. You listen to your fans, and they're doing a great job of doing so.
I agree. I think they've done a great job of listening to their fans. They've also done a great job of knowing what their fans want. It's always that thing. You know how Vince was always like, you don't like what you like what I tell you to like. Right. And a lot of times we don't like what Vince likes, and we don't like what he tells us to like either. But with the way AEW has done it, it's kind of like a little bit of the same, but reverse. It's like, we actually do like what you tell us to like, AEW. Right. Thank you. Like, it's what they've been doing lately, especially, is just perfect. The signing of CM Punk and Daniel Bryan, the ability to go out there, have the legitimacy and the credibility to go out there and get those guys, having Kenny Omega, who is pound for pound probably the best wrestler in the world right now, having Darby Allin, building up Darby Allin to the best worker of 2021. That's inarguable. Darby Allin was the workhorse to begin this year in the first 6 months with his TNT title run and his TNT title challenge. He had arguably the best matches week in and week out of any competitor in the entire world, and he wasn't even like 2 years ago. He wasn't even like supposed to be one of those guys that fans thought AEW was going to push. Like, the first show, they made it clear that the people that they were building for the future were people like MJF, people like Jungle Boy. Darby Allin was in there, but he wasn't like predominant. And then he had that match with Cody, and then things kind of went from there. And just talking about Darby Allin real quick, because I'm always going to take a chance to talk about Darby Allin. But you know what Darby Allin has, Trevor, that not a lot of people have had in wrestling. Like there's certain people that have it. Like it's like The Rock had it, the Jeff Hardy. He's cool.
Yeah,
Darby Allin is legit. Like people are like, oh man, what makes Darby so special? It's not. I mean, he's just cool. Like you can't really explain it. Like it's a similar thing with Jeff Hardy. Yeah, he does these amazing spots. He's dangerous or whatever, but he's cool. Like you want to like him. You want to be his friend. You want to root for him, and that's the thing that makes Darby Allin so great. And AEW has just harnessed that, I think, such a powerful way that it's resonated and turned him into a big star. And look, Darby Allin, dude, he's a main event player. He is a main event player, and he feels like one. There's a lot of times where things are forced down your throat, right? Where you're just like, oh, okay, he's in the main event or whatever. But Darby Allin is literally like he really feels like a main event player. Like he's almost too big sometimes to be challenging for the AEW title. You know?
yeah, you're absolutely right. He is. I mean, and Darby Allin's not the only one they pushed him like that. Look what they did, Freshly Squeezed, Orange Cassidy. Like they pushed him up too. Like I mean, he's had some amazing matches in AEW. Like those matches with Jericho. Oh my God, they were so good. They were money. Like, and a lot of people feel that Orange Cassidy is nothing but a joke. He can't be successful. Like that style, a lot of purists hate that style of wrestling, the comedic style of wrestling that he has. But it's really working for him. It really works, man. And AEW took that and ran with it. Like I'm honestly, one of the best spots last week wasn't even a match. It was between him and Sting when they were both doing the mirror image. That was hilarious. That was so
great.
funny. It was so great. I mean, AEW is doing a good job of spotlighting wrestlers that other people wouldn't even care to know about. You know, like what are they doing to Jungle Boy? Jungle Boy is probably one of the hottest wrestlers right now. Not the hottest wrestler, of course, but one of the hottest wrestlers around right now. And that was all due to his skill and the fact that AEW is putting him on the forefront.
Fully agreed. And kudos to AEW for them. They're also they just announced some more stuff about their wrestling game that is being talked about in the chat here. Yes, they do have a wrestling game. They made a 7-figure investment into their wrestling department, which is with Ukes, and we know that Ukes makes great video games. But just to kind of put a bow on this, I think the state of the promotion, if we want to talk about it, Trevor, it's strong. It is strong, and it is only going to get better because what we're seeing week in and week out, we can blame the Olympics, we can blame the NBA Finals, all that kind of stuff. Raw's ratings are slipping. The talent on Raw is you could argue it might be better. But like pound for pound, you could argue the talent might be better and more equipped for TV, but the ratings are slipping. The creative is bad. The storylines people don't care about. Lily the doll is terrible, and like Abaddon is a better Alexa Bliss than Alexa Bliss. Like if we're being honest, the AEW is doing almost everything correctly, as opposed to Raw, which is doing very little to nothing. Maybe Riddle, that's the only thing they're doing correctly. Otherwise, everything is bad. SmackDown, kudos to them. They're doing great. But Raw's ratings keep slipping.
That still makes no sense to me. That still makes absolutely
It makes no sense. It's the same writing team. But Raw's ratings are slipping. And man, like I talk about it, right? They're not going to catch Raw even, I think, in like even the next year, right? I don't think they're going to catch them in the next year unless it goes catastrophically wrong for Raw. I don't know what would need to happen for that. But what I am saying, these two right here, Punk and Bryan, the legitimacy they bring, the star power they bring, the eyeballs that they'll bring on a night unopposed in wrestling, they could get 1.5 million. They could start averaging 1.5 million. They could start and look, we've seen WWE or Raw when they're against something like the NBA Finals or Monday Night Football, which is coming up, man. They could slip a week, and it's never. I don't think they're gonna get to the point where they consistently beat even Raw. But they don't need to because that's not what you're striving to. They're striving to make a product. They're striving to make AEW great. They're not striving to beat WWE.
No,
they're not. They're striving to excel in what they do, and that's the thing. It's this idea of excelling at what you do or success. If you excel at what you do, you will get the success. It will come to you naturally, and that's what AEW is focused on. WWE is more like, oh, let's get the success and the power and the names and the money, money, money. Like that's all it is.
That's
And
all
then
it is. It's about money, and it's not about.
and that's why there's so much energy behind one product that is focused on building new, better, great stars and incorporating former stars, but not taking the shine away from the new. Exactly. And then in WWE, you have almost completely relying on nostalgia outside of Roman Reigns.
Yeah, you hit it on the head.
Yep. Trevor, what a time to be a wrestling fan. Guys, be sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Trevor, give people a quick preview of what you have coming up later in the show, because I think they might be interested in that.
Later in the show, a new segment called Wrestle Spotlight, where we spotlight some wrestlers or one particular wrestler that you guys may not know, and it's gonna be fantastic housing.
Oh, wait. Sounds evil. Sounds very evil to me. Yes. Yep. So stick around for that, guys. Hit that like button. Help us out in the algorithm. And again, we're gonna have our Real Take Overtime segment right after the show, right on Patreon.com/Real Take Sports. Join that $5 a month patron thing to get access to that right after the show. Trevor, let's move on and talk about WWE, because
some things going on over there.
Some things going on. Some of it good, some of it not so good. Let's talk about the good first. John Cena is back. The champ, the former 16-time champ, returned at WWE Money in the Bank at the end of the Roman Reigns Edge match to confront Roman Reigns. You saw him giving the "You Can't See Me" sign to Roman Reigns, basically saying that I'm here. He came out on Raw the next night and said, I'm John Cena and I'm challenging for the Universal title, and that's how it is. And hey, that's how it is. He's John fucking Cena. Who's going to tell him no? But John Cena and Roman Reigns looks like it's going to be the match for the Universal title at SummerSlam. It's a big match. We've talked about this in the build up to this summer. We've talked about it being rumored, and now it is a reality. Trevor, what do you think about this? It just feels like John Cena's return kind of gave that extra spark that WWE kind of needed, that SmackDown even kind of needed, to just, okay, yeah, now we're revving up for SummerSlam, a huge show, stadium show, all that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, John Cena has star power. He definitely does. Like him or hate him, you watch him to hate him, and you watch him to like him. Like he brings that star quality. Like, and don't get me wrong, they have had a great match. They had a couple great matches. They wrestled well together. There's going to be something interesting to watch, and I believe that SmackDown and SummerSlam and WWE in a whole needed that extra oomph. You know, it needed that rise, because let's just be honest, they're digging themselves into a hole. You know, I mean, SmackDown isn't, but so to speak, but WWE in a whole is.
I mean, it's like, let's not kid ourselves too. It's also, John Cena is also here to promote the Fast and Furious 10 or 9, whatever they're on, because he's apparently it's all about family. But you know, that's part of it, right? But you heard the crowd when he came back. That was one of the loudest pops I've heard, like, in my lifetime. This is like, it reminded me of when he came back at the 2008 Rumble. And look, I've criticized John Cena's creative and all that kind of stuff, but at this point, I think John Cena's just like, he's in that like, you know, that upper echelon of when he comes back, he's getting the big pop. He's a legend. He's literally a living legend. And again, he went from being hokey, like to back to being cool. Like John Cena again is somehow like cool now, and it's like it's not in vogue to cheer against him, or, you know, these people might still cheer against him, and I'm fine with that. But, you know, he's just confident. He has the best promos, and you can't miss when he's on TV. No. So that's what I like about it.
And he's been doing some dark matches here lately too. I don't know if you saw that.
He had a 6-man tag match right after SmackDown. So he's been doing some matches. And look, Roman Reigns is the tribal chief. Acknowledge him if you haven't already. And this guy, this guy who Roman Reigns beat who Roman Reigns beat at No Mercy 2017, just comes along during the best run of Roman Reigns' time, is in his career, and just thinks he can challenge and thinks he can beat Roman Reigns. I think the Tribal Chief's going to have a thing or two to say about that. I think this match is going to be electric. It should be the main event of that show. It will be the main event of that show, because God help me if it's the other match we're going to talk about. But this is the definition of a big money match. And look, you want to sell out Allegiant Stadium? Right now in WWE, there's no bigger match than John Cena versus Roman Reigns, and it very well could help them selling that stadium out, because there were a lot of tickets available last time I checked.
Yeah, it could. It could definitely help them sell it out. I mean, it's like I said, he sells tickets. You know, he does sell tickets. Like him or hate him, he sells tickets, and so there's going to be a lot of people that want to see John Cena and Roman Reigns too.
I agree. I agree. I fully agree. Also, let's check out the chat. We've been ignoring the chat. I'm sorry about this, guys. Well, we're gonna be on the chat.
I'm sorry.
We're just so passionate about wrestling. Damn it. Sorry, sports entertainment. Y'all hear AEW's being over? We already talked about that. Raw sucks. Says since he's funny, he says Raw sucks. They'll catch it. And talk about AEW. Since he also went on to say that John Cena equals doing missionary every night. Jesus
Christ.
And we have a new person who just joined. Hello, welcome, Sai. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Sai. I'm just gonna say Sai.
I know who that is.
You know? Oh, you know who that is. Well, they just said John Cena literally. She just said John Cena literally has nothing to do. This guy's a big movie star. John Cena is a big movie star now. He's in Transformers. The dude was in. He's in Fast and Furious. Like he's a dude. He's in that.
He's not probably in his transitional period where he's done filming and he's like just bored.
He's just bored. He wants to come back. He's got the itch. Since he says unless Demon King comes back, Pumpkin Pup Balor, bring him back. Please. We need more Pumpkin Pup Balor in WWE. That's what you want to save Raw, Vince. You want to save Monday Night Raw. That's what you do. Forget these superheroes. Let's really save. Let's make Monday Night Raw pumpkin again. Guys, keep the questions coming. We'll answer them in between segments and all that kind of stuff. Hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Trevor, let's move on and talk about something that you and I feel very passionately about, but will definitely get us in trouble online. Nikki Ash. Sorry. Nikki Almost a Superhero. ASH. So, Nikki Ash won the Money in the Bank, women's Money in the Bank contract. Sorry, let me restart that. Nikki Ash won the Money in the Bank contract, the Money in the Bank. And the next night, she cashed in on a prone Charlotte Flair, who also won her Raw Women's Championship at Money in the Bank the night before. So one day title reign is something that Charlotte is pretty much used to at this point. But regardless, Nikki Ash cashed in on Charlotte. She won the Raw Women's title. She is the new Raw Women's Champion. And a lot of people, this is a very controversial gimmick. There's a section of people who hate it, who think it's bad creative. And then there's the kids who love it, who are buying stuff. And look, I guess that means it's working because it's getting a reaction. But is it really? We found out over the weekend that at live events, there were reports that the crowds weren't really responding at all when she came out, which is not a good thing, especially considering that Nikki Cross is a fantastic worker and a fantastic wrestler. But what do you think about this decision to have her win and cash in? Was it right to have her win and just cash in immediately?
Right to have her win, wrong to have her cash in immediately. Because, I mean, let's be honest. You said it. Like, you said it better than I possibly could. Nikki Cross, quite possibly, is one of the better talents on that roster as far as that division goes. Like, she has talent. Like, and look at the transformation. She dropped, 20 some pounds? Like, and she's muscle. She looks amazing. She is toned up. She's athletic. She's such a great wrestler.
She's almost a superhero.
We're not talking about that. Talking about the good stuff first. But no, it's just, and it's a shame to see someone like that go down like with this gimmick. Like, Nikki
It's her gimmick, by the way. It's her gimmick. Like, she came up with this.
Oh, she came with it herself.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. But no, like it's not, and it's not that she has no talent, because she does, and we can't say that enough. It's just, to me, the superhero thing has been done, and has been done to death. You at one point you had like 5 superheroes in WWE. You had Hurricane, you had Super Molly, you had Jamal wearing a superhero cape. Like,
Big Rosie, baby, Big Rosie.
It's been done to death. And like, when you are that talented, why do you need such a gimmick like that? You know what I mean?
I mean, so again, it's her gimmick, and look, she's a champion. I'm not going to argue with the results. It got her the belt, and that's a thing, right? And that's commendable. But the other side, the flip side of this coin is that how much staying power does this gimmick have? You know, and is this one of those transitional gimmicks that can eventually get Nikki Cross over as a main event talent? And that's the question. Now, if you ask me about am I worried that, you know, are she going to sell merchandise? Yeah, she is. The kids are going to love it and they're going to buy it. But again, how much staying power does it have? And look, I don't want to undervalue the reports from live events, dude. People want to it's just live events and it's not TV. Like, dude, these are the first live events back with fans. Right. People are just excited to get out of the house and see wrestling. Like, so when people aren't reacting, that's the worst thing that can happen in wrestling. When people aren't reacting to the product and you as a talent, that's the worst thing that can happen. And we know that there wasn't too much excitement from a lot of hardcore wrestling fans about it. And again, hardcore wrestling fans, we're not all of the fans who watch WWE, but we are a lot of them. And I'm not going to say anything disparaging about Nikki Ash because it's not on Nikki Ash. I personally just don't like the gimmick, and I hope I'm wrong. I genuinely hope I'm wrong.
I hope she proves me wrong.
I hope she proves me wrong. I hope Nikki, almost a superhero, becomes a superhero and becomes the next big thing in wrestling.
I do.
And I hope that I get it. I genuinely hope that I like understand it and end up rooting for it.
I mean, honestly, I was wrong with Super Molly. I didn't think Molly Holly's gimmick, I didn't think that was going to work at all.
Oh, it didn't work. It didn't work.
I mean, it worked.
It did no. It worked for like 2 weeks, and then it didn't work.
That's it.
It didn't work.
It didn't work at all. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So anyway, it didn't work. I was right.
Yep. You know what else is not going to work? Eunice. I just name dropped Eunice on this podcast. I did not think I was going to say it. He just texted me. Anyway, no. You know what else is not going to work? Oldberg. Let's talk about it.
Jesus
buddy.
Christ, I'm tired of him. I'm just so tired of him at this point, dude.
Aren't we all? Let's get to the chat real quick, because we got some funny. Yes, I know it's Nikki, not Nikki. I will change it in post. They better not do her like Otis. They didn't. She cashed in and she won. Trevor act like he could make a better gimmick. Trevor, make a better gimmick right now. Yeah, since he's called you out.
Who says this?
Cincy says make a better gimmick for Nikki Cross right now. Go.
Dude, Gilbert was a better gimmick than Nikki Cross. If you honestly sit there and tell me this is a great gimmick, you don't need to be a wrestling fan ever. Dude, this
we might need to revoke your Cincy. We might need to revoke your booking status as far as Real Take Wrestling goes. Like
Barry Horowitz was more interesting.
Well, wait, Cincy, you're the booker. You make a better gimmick. You make a better gimmick right now. Do it. I'm the head honcho. Make a better gimmick right now. Let's go. But Trevor, let's talk about. While Cincy does that, let's talk about Goldberg. So, as I catch my breath.
There you go.
The former WCW World Heavyweight Champion Goldberg returned to WWE TV earlier last week on Raw and told Bobby Lashley that he was next. Lashley would promptly reject Goldberg's challenge, tweeting out, "No thanks, old man," which is a sentiment that I think wrestling fans everywhere would echo. But the current plan is to have these two face off at SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. Two-time Universal Champion will pick up his rivalry with Goldberg on the August 2nd episode of Raw when he is slated to show up at the Allstate Arena. When Goldberg does step into the ring at SummerSlam, it will be the first match he's had since he was defeated by then WWE Champion Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble back in January. It was also Goldberg's second and final contractually obligated match of 2021. The Hall of Famer is signed to the company through 2023 and is always scheduled to have 2 matches a year. He's like double the Santa Claus. He's twice a year, Goldberg, and he only comes twice a year, and he wins a belt every time. But look, Goldberg has been a thorn in the side of many contemporary wrestling fans for a while now. He ended the Fiend's run in 2020 with the belt, and then just gave it up to Braun Strowman, who was released after that. It just seems like everything he does, it's kind of useless, doesn't matter. But how does Goldberg keep getting these opportunities at the belt, Trevor? How does he do this?
It's one of those things that it's very interesting to me because of the fact that when you really sit back and look at Goldberg, like he gets criticized for being hard to work with. He gets criticized for not being one of the better wrestlers. Like he botches most moves when he's in the ring. And this is even back when he was WCW. Like when he came to WWE, he wasn't that liked. They didn't like it. Like he talked about that on the Broken Scroll sessions with Austin. Like he wasn't very like superstar, but he keeps getting work, and I get it. Like the novelty of seeing him in the ring with Brock was awesome. Like after all those years, it was great. Any nostalgic wrestling fan, old school wrestling fan, felt like goosebumps when they saw him after all those years. It was great. But just like everything, the novelty wears off. And that's what happened. The novelty wore off. And with Fiend having such a great year, having that title, you expected him to keep it more. But even let's go before that, when he almost broke Undertaker's neck. It's just the novelty is gone. He's still Botchberg, Oldberg, whatever you want to call him, and it's not exciting anymore. It's not exciting to see him wrestle anyone anymore.
You know what I want to know? Who outside of Saudi Arabia wants to see Goldberg wrestle at 55?
That's what I'm saying. Like it's not exciting anymore. It's just the novelty.
It's literally he signed this deal just for the Saudis. That's all it was. It was Saudi Arabia wanted him. WWE wanted to lock him down to secure the Saudi deal. That's what it was about. Let's not kid ourselves and act like it was about anything else. This guy, all respect to Goldberg. I'm watching WCW 1999. He is one of the best things about that show. I get it. He was over. 2003 Goldberg was great. He was over, but he can't work anymore. I'm sorry. Like
he could barely work back then. I'm not trying to be mean. It's the truth. He could barely work back then.
Bill Goldberg, the person, is amazing, great human being, does a lot for charity. Love the guy.
Right.
Goldberg, in the ring, is dangerous. You saw him with The Undertaker. It was dangerous. You saw him with The Fiend when he lifted him up for the jackhammer. It was dangerous. He almost dropped him on his neck. When he wrestled Braun Strowman, thank God that match only lasted 2 minutes. Otherwise, it could have been dangerous. He just can't do it. He can't do it anymore. And we shouldn't be afraid to say it. It's just not safe to have that dude wrestling people. And it's not safe for him to wrestle. I'm scared. I'm genuinely scared for Goldberg to be wrestling Bobby Lashley. I'm genuinely kind of scared to see that. Look, he's going to probably be fine, but if you're going to ask me, is this the right decision pairing Bobby Lashley at Goldberg for SummerSlam? No. Maybe there are those fans who are going to go out there and buy tickets to SummerSlam on the same night that there's a Pacquiao fight in town in Vegas. Maybe there are those fans who are going to do it for Goldberg. I'm not one of those fans. I don't think a lot of the hardcore wrestling fans are going to travel just to see Goldberg. I don't think Goldberg is honestly that big of an attraction, or not as big as WWE think, and especially not as big to have a WWE Championship match to take up this spot. You couldn't build up anyone for this. You have to have he's twice a year, Bill Goldberg. You had to have him come in and take this spot. Yes, he is taking this spot. He's taking this spot, and it's bull.
Yeah, I'm sick and tired of him. I mean, it's just one of those things, like you said before, he's a nice guy. He does a lot for charity. He's a great family man. He's great with his family, his son, his wife, whatever. But other than that, man, he just needs to hang it out. He needs to admit to himself, like, it's time to hang it out.
Taker did it. He should too.
And Taker was still a better performer at his age than he is.
Yep. And Taker knew his limits. He knew what he couldn't do, what he could do. This dude, Goldberg only has to do like 3 things in a match, and he can't even do one of those things. Like the jackhammer at this point that he does, it's dangerous. He can't lift these people up.
He barely lifted Drew McIntyre up for it.
Barely lifted Drew up. He almost dropped Bray Wyatt on his head. He literally dropped the Undertaker on his head. No, can't have that. Can't have that. Trevor, in the meantime, let's move on. But actually, Trevor, distract people for like 20 seconds.
Why
don't you read out the chat? See if there's anything in the chat. Fellas, ask questions.
Yeah, I want to do that, actually. They always ask questions in the chat, not that. Pulling it up now. If I can. There we go. All right, chatters, what are we looking at? Let's see. Raw sucks. Yeah, I saw that. It's Nikki. Trevor. I meant for himself.
Oh, that's a fun thing. Trevor, come up with a gimmick for yourself.
For myself.
The barman.
The funny thing
carries around a rag.
Right? The funny thing is, I was sitting there, I was like, you know what? A barman gimmick would probably hit better than this is hitting right now.
Your catchphrase could be, I'm cutting you off.
I'm cutting you off.
That could be it. Like you're cutting. Oh, I like that. And then like your finishing move could be like
last call. Well, I can't do that now.
Oh, wait, why can't you?
Isn't that somebody else's move?
Who has a move called the last call? I don't know. I don't think anyone.
I think it was curtain call. I think that's what I'm thinking of.
I don't think anyone has last call as a wrestling move.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Melina did. It's fine. You can have Melina's. Oh, it was James Storm. That might be too big.
Yeah, that's what I thought. See, James Storm. Yeah, last call.
Anyway, whatever. Guys, if you haven't already, remember to like this video, hit that like button, subscribe so you can hear Trevor book himself into oblivion every single week right here on Real Take Sports, Real Take Wrestle Talk. My bad. Let's move on, Trevor, and talk about some internet news, which is always fun because wrestling fans on the internet are of the least toxic people online. Psych, full cap there. This week, there was a big hullabaloo on the internet about the late, great Eddie Guerrero. There were a lot of fans who made terrible takes like this here, calling Eddie Guerrero a B-plus player, and it caused Eddie Guerrero to trend on Twitter. I think he was one of the top 10 trends on Twitter this past week, and in a great move, almost the entire wrestling community came out in defense of Eddie Guerrero and these clowns calling him a B-plus player and meaning it and saying that he only got famous and got the notoriety after he died, which is ludicrous. So I'm not even going to ask you, is it ludicrous, Trevor? I'm just going to ask you, how ludicrous is it? Knowing what you know, you and I were both there. We both loved Eddie Guerrero when he was there. Knowing what we know about Eddie Guerrero, how ludicrous is it for someone to assert that he's a B-plus player?
To me, if you say that, you have to, first off, and this is a stretch even now because like he was good in WCW as well. But to say something like that, you only saw his early stuff in WCW. That's it. That's all you're basing that on. Because I mean, yeah, he was just getting a name for himself back then, so I can kind of understand where that comes from. But
that's just the early stuff. The Latino World Order was great.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you honestly saw his work, his body of work, there is no way you can say Eddie Guerrero was a B-plus player. Like, that's like saying, even though the stigma he carries now, that's like saying Benoit wasn't one of the greatest technical wrestlers ever. That's a lot.
It's like saying Jericho isn't one of the best wrestlers in the world or one of the greatest of all time.
Right, exactly. All 3 of those absolute lies. Like Eddie Guerrero probably if you talk about top 10, he's probably in the top 10. He has to be. And if not top 10, depending on who you are, top 15, because he's no lower than that.
Let me just say this. So I want to attack the main thing I have a problem with here. B plus player is subjective, right? You can think that Eddie Guerrero had a ceiling or whatever, right? That's whatever. Okay, you know what? That's subjective. Everyone has their opinions. No matter how shitty they are, you're entitled to them. But you're telling me that Eddie Guerrero, fans only hold him in such high regard because he died? That means you were watching. Trevor. I was 7 years old when Eddie Guerrero passed away. I was 7 years old when this man died. And I knew, and Eddie Guerrero was one of the biggest stars. It was one of the main reasons I watched wrestling. Eddie Guerrero, a 7-year-old noticed that. If you really think that Eddie Guerrero only got over because he died, then you don't know anything about wrestling. You don't know anything about Eddie Guerrero. You weren't there. You weren't watching. You didn't see his great promos against Brock Lesnar. You didn't see the fire that this guy had. You didn't see the buildup between him and his the cousin, or the feud he had with his nephew, Chavo Guerrero Jr. at Royal Rumble 2004. You didn't see the matches he had with Chris Benoit. You didn't see the match he had with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 20. You didn't see the matches he had with JBL. You didn't see the matches he had with Batista. You didn't see the promos he cut with Batista. I'm talking about him. I'm talking about him in WWE at the top of his career.
You're not even talking about his early stuff that was awesome.
I'm telling these idiots here exactly why he was. Because Eddie Guerrero, you know why he won the belt, and you know why fans love him? Because he was the most over person on the roster for almost an entire year. There was nobody else getting more reactions to their promos than Eddie Guerrero. And I'm sorry, it's ludicrous, it's asinine, it's absolutely blasphemous, as Stephen A. would say, to say that.
But that's the point I was making. Like, Omar, I totally agree with you. Like, you're just talking about his WWE career, and you can go back even further than that. You can talk about his runs in New Japan, his runs in AAA, his runs, dude. He's had so many runs. Like, him and his family helped change and change the state of lucha libre or wrestling. Like, if you don't have part of lucha libre without the Guerrero family, like, come on. Like, are we gonna be serious right now? You're gonna say one of the greatest families. Remember, one of the greatest wrestling families.
Forget the look. All respect to the Guerrero family, Trevor. For a second, forget the family. Talk the Eddie Guerrero. Talk about Eddie Guerrero.
I mean, he was probably one of the most notable. Yeah, he was.
He was the most notable. The whole thing is
it's ridiculous.
To call him a B plus player, and on top of that, say he only was over because he died it's not only insulting. It's insulting. It's insulting, and it's stupid. It's stupid. You know what the worst part about it is for these people, Trevor? They look stupid saying that. And you know what? As toxic as the wrestling community is on Twitter, and as much as we disagree about everything, I was so glad to see that everybody kind of came together and defended Eddie against his BS. And it wasn't anyone notable tweeting this out. I'm just glad that it wasn't allowed, because
I'm actually surprised Sasha Banks didn't say anything, because that was her mentor. That was who she modeled herself after.
And Eddie Guerrero isn't allowed around to defend himself, but I'm so glad basically 99% of the wrestling community said, nope, cap, and made them shut up. So kudos to the wrestling community. You won this day. You finally did something beneficial for humanity. Congratulations, wrestling fans. We're not terrible all the time.
Not completely.
Well, Trevor, let's continue on with this show, and let's talk. This is the last thing we're going to talk about in WWE. Before that, let's check out the chat. Cincy says, I call dibs on the coup de grace as my finisher. Okay, Cincy, you can have that. Cincy also says, Batista stole Eddie Guerrero's dinner before I was born. I remember that Batista stole Eddie Guerrero's dinner.
I do remember that.
And then he got the stomach ache. Let's go kick their ass. Oh, God bless. God bless Eddie Guerrero. You are missed. Sorely missed. Trevor, let's move on to our last WWE segment of the day.
Let's go.
The man Becky Lynch is slated to return fairly soon. Many expect Lynch to return as a Raw superstar to pursue the Raw Women's Championship that she was never pinned or submitted for. But this might not be the case. This is Sean Ross Sapp saying this, quote, that match being made for SummerSlam, the Triple Threat Raw Women's title match, was a bit of a surprise. A lot of people were expecting Becky Lynch to be back, but word is she might be headed to a different brand. So who knows, but they definitely need her back. He said this on a Fightful Select stream. Sapp also did not know which brand she would be heading to, but leaving SmackDown seems like that's good, the direction that WWE are going in, and Sean Ross Sapp is he's pretty geared into what's happening in the wrestling world. He's like one of the best reporters out there. But Trevor, what do you make of this? We said that Becky Lynch for Raw would be a breath of fresh air. They probably need that star power, need her there to kind of steady the ship, but looks like that might not be the case. What do you think? Should Becky Lynch move brands?
Here's the thing. No matter what brand Becky Lynch goes to, she's the man. That's it, point blank. Like it's not going to mess up her career. It's not going to mess up her fan following. It, if anything, is going to make whatever brand she's on better. So, I mean, as fans, we know she never lost her title. So it doesn't matter what title she gets at this point, in my mind. But whenever she comes back, she's going to go for a title because she never lost it. She gave it up for a legit reason. She had a kid. She brought life into the world. She got married. She had a legit reason for doing this. So whenever she comes back, she will be in the picture for a title shot. Now, again, what brand does she go to? She would make Raw 10 times better, completely better. She would help SmackDown out as well. I mean, SmackDown doesn't need a lot of help, but SmackDown, would benefit too. So would NXT. Mm-hmm. But it depends on what route you want to go. Because right now, the NXT champion, she's doing a great job. I love
Raquel Gonzalez.
I love Raquel Gonzalez. I love the opportunity they gave her. I think she's doing amazing. Again, and we know how we feel about the EST of WWE. So again, it's up in the air right now. The only title that seems like it needs to be changed hands is the Raw title. And honestly, I like Nikki Cross. I do. And I wish they would have gave it to her in a better way, in whatever have you. But we'll see what happens. We'll just see what happens.
So for me, it's one of those things. The brand that needs Becky Lynch the most, the brand that needs the most over person in wrestling today, it's Raw. It's Raw. The show is garbage. That show has very little to no excitement around it. Like Bobby Lashley, love him to death. He's not steadying the ship there. You have the man there, the big draw. They're a big star. Like Becky Lynch and Roman Reigns could be heading those two shows respectively, and it would work, and they would have their kind of captains. But that doesn't look like that's what's happening. So I don't get why they would do that. Becky Lynch, I think Raw needs Becky Lynch more than Becky Lynch needs Raw. Obviously, Becky Lynch can go wherever. She can go to NXT UK, be the most over thing in wrestling. Like that's not a thing. But as far as who needs her the most, it's Raw. Raw needs the kick in the butt the most. And honestly, Becky Lynch, again, the most over person in wrestling, probably would help them in their ratings, especially. You would think with them slipping under 2 million a week, like they would want that, and especially with the NFL season coming up, going up against Monday Night Football, you might want that drawing power. But again, WWE, they could change their mind. They probably will. But when you ask me, should she move brands? It's no. If she's not going to be on Raw, though, the only way I see her going to NXT is if WWE have made it like a big thing of they want NXT to succeed. They want they're just going all in on NXT to be an equal brand to Raw and SmackDown, which we know they don't treat it as, but I don't see that as being likely. SmackDown, if not Raw, it has to be SmackDown, for being honest. And that would set up an interesting situation. The EST of WWE against the man, Becky Lynch. And that would be an interesting world title match, I think. I think that could be the time where Bianca actually loses the belt. Because look, if I'm being so honest with you, Doesn't matter who has the belt. Becky would be better. So put it on her or build the storyline around her winning the belt back. Like, that's the only way you're going to help out the failing ratings. That's the only way you're going to get more excitement around the product. Sell out tickets. Like, come on. She's a money mover. That's what she does. So, again, I don't get why it would be SmackDown, but SmackDown looks like it would have to be it.
Yeah, right now. I mean, because like you said, I don't see her going to NXT. Raw would totally benefit from her much more than any other show. So I don't understand why she's not going to Raw. But SmackDown's probably the one she's going to.
Yeah, I agree. And look, we just got a comment in here that kind of really tells us how I think a lot of wrestling fans feel. Caleb Allen says, quote, Becky should just hurry up and return, period. I've, quote, CM Punk waited for her to return, and yet we wait. Sinking boat WWE, so throw a life raft, a.k.a. the Becky float, out ASAP.
Jesus. Great. Oh my God.
Caleb Allen, a winner is you. CC, C.
It's CC.
CC, okay. I don't know why it's spelled like that, but okay. Sorry, just burying our fans. This is part of my heel turn, by the way.
I know.
CCC. I can't. I got the giggles. CCC says, I think Becky is enjoying motherhood too much to truly care about going back to WWE. I'm not arguing that she's not enjoying motherhood, but
yeah, I agree with that. But still, I think she wants to come back. She already said
she definitely wants to. She's training to come back. She's going to come back. She wants to come back. It's going to happen. It's just like,
I just don't think she really cares what promotion she goes to, what brand she goes to. Honestly,
since he edits says Becky Lynch to NXT, skull dead emoji. Yeah, pretty much. That's not happening. Caleb Allen also said this. Oh dear. I don't know if I'm not going to say that. I mean, no. I'm just going to say a variation of what he said. Okay. Caleb Allen asks, whose forehead is Mr. He didn't say Mr.
Right.
Is Mr. Gage. Actually, he did say Mr., but he said with.
I know he said.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that. Whose forehead said Mr. Gage gonna bust up and leave a permanent mark on first, do you think? Definitely Matt Cardona after what he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be Matt Cardona after what happened last week.
Dude, oh yeah, absolutely.
And hey, we'll talk about that. But guys, for anyone who's just joined us, welcome. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. And hit that like button, help out the algorithm, help our show grow, help the audience as well, so we can keep giving you this amazingly supercalifragilisticexpialidocious content weekly.
That was impressive. It
wasn't that impressive. I used to be able to spell it.
Me too, actually, but I'm dumb now.
Yeah. I can't. There's just been so much, man. I've just been talking so much, dude. This is what happens when you have 4 podcasts a week. I feel like Michael. I feel like Michael Cole. My voice is gonna sound like my voice is gonna sound like Al Pacino in like 2 years. Yeah, well, Fredo. On that note, let's move on, Trevor, and talk about the other stuff in the wonderful world of professional wrestling. Trevor, you have a new segment you want to introduce to everyone. Let's tell everyone about this new segment.
All right. What was that?
This is part of your new segment. Just tell them about it.
Oh shit!
I don't know how we're gonna get through this segment, bro. I don't know how we're gonna get through this segment.
All right. Welcome to a new segment we call Wrestling Spotlight, where we take a break from mainstream wrestling and bring attention to an indie wrestler that deserves more attention. Today, we are talking about the one, and we're going to get into it right now. So here we go. For today's Spotlight, we go back about 300 years to a dark time when an unsuspecting Earth was invaded by a very unusual visitor. Although unusual, he is also very nice and very evil. I'm talking about the one, the only Danhausen. While he was still incubating, waiting to emerge, he took a human form, known as Donovan Danhausen. At a young age, Danhausen recalls watching the debut of Kane at Bad Blood in Your House 97. He describes it as quite the spectacle and very evil. That moment was when he wanted to wrestle. He was trained by Jimmy Jacobs and Truth Martini. Those of you indie fans who know who those guys are, and in 2013 made his debut. With success on the indie circuit, Danhausen thought his plan for world domination would be in the near future. But what he didn't take into consideration was that with so many tattooed bearded wrestlers out at the time, you needed a gimmick that caused people to pay attention. And that was a direct quote from him, actually. In-ring ability aside, there was nothing else that made him stand out. He had great matches with Johnny Gargano, Ricochet, Orange Cassidy, name a few, but that wasn't enough. So in 2016, with injuries happening one after another, losing money on top of everything else, Donovan Danhausen was ready to quit, but he decided to give it one more go and doing his own thing. Not listen to anyone else, just do what made him happy. So with ideas from horror movies and in the horror genre in general, the incubation period was complete. Danhausen was born. Shortly after Danhausen showed his true self, the worshiping of Danhausen started. Since the revamp of his life and career, Danhausen is everywhere on podcasts, talk shows, most social media platforms, and not to mention the home of Danhausen, ROH. It is because of all his hard work and not giving up that today we spotlight Danhausen.
Oh, that was wonderfully nicely evil.
So my question for you, my good man, and everyone out there who doesn't know who Danhausen is, let's actually get into it. Danhausen is a wrestler from ROH who started on the indie platforms. He's been in Black Label Wrestling. He's been in any wrestling promotion that you can think of, Florida. He's been there. He's done that. He's been champs in multiple indie promotions, and you see him here.
I think that's my kitchen. I think he's been in my kitchen.
I believe he may have. He's been in everyone's kitchen.
That's kind of scary.
and it's funny because like this kind of happened just by him fucking around one day. Like he really just came up with this by whim. And if he did an interview not too long ago, and they asked him like, where did he come up with this idea? And he said he's been described as Conan O'Brien being possessed by a demon. And like his voice for Danhausen actually comes from Mark Hamill's Joker, combined with Conan O'Brien. Conan O'Brien has been his muse, so to speak, for a lot of his things, along with Ethan Page, one of his best friends, Orange Cassidy, guys like that. Danhausen is here to make a name for himself and take all your monies in your teeth, according to Danhausen. So, with all that knowledge, my good host, my question to you is: with all the things you know about Danhausen, did you learn anything new? And what is your overall take on him as a character?
I learned a lot of new stuff. An incubation period? What the fuck? Like, I learned like there was an incubation period. I learned about the Bad Blood 97 thing. I did not know about that. But you know, I knew that
he likes to take monies and he likes to spend monies too. That's what Danhausen does.
I knew that. I knew about his time in the indie circuit. ROH obviously just signed with. You know, I think he does stand out amongst the bearded, tattooed wrestlers out there. He definitely stands out, and he does a wonderful job doing it. And this goes to show you, man, kayfabe. As much as people want to say kayfabe is dead,
no,
it's still not. It's holding on by a thread, and that thread, half of that thread at least, is Danhausen. The other, I think, is Abaddon. But
yeah, right now
Danhausen, like this dude doesn't break character. We don't know much about him, honestly, other than the little he's told us on podcasts and whatever. But I love the character. I think it's one of those characters. It's one of those things he's gonna get over. He's gonna get over and be a main event guy very soon. He's getting his big following. You know, his Twitter is growing more so than it has been over the past few years. And I like the fact that it's happening because Danhausen he's a great in-ring worker, but he's smaller. And one of the things when you're smaller is sometimes you need to be able to have that ability to stand out. Like not everyone can be Daniel Bryan, right? But Daniel Bryan
Danhausen, rather, is a very good wrestler. And,
he's a wrestler.
He might
very
not,
good wrestler.
He's a very good wrestler, Housen, but he might not be as good as Pepsi Man. But he does stand out a little bit more than Pepsi Man. His tattoos, arguably, are probably better than Pepsi Man's. But no, I dig Danhausen. I think he's gonna be a main event guy, within the next few years, and I can't wait to see the rise of Danhausen. He's amazing.
We talked about Danhausen offline last week, and he's been in the news and shit. He was in Third Eye Comics here in Maryland, Annapolis, Maryland, and just looking at him, I love the gimmick. I love the guy. A lot of people aren't too keen on him, just like Orange Cassidy, because he does that comedic style wrestling. And he also did an interview where he was saying that's his niche. That's what he likes. He feels like it's a little too serious, and that's where he makes his money. Like he literally thought this out. Like he was literally at the end of his career. He was really about to quit. Like no one cared about him. No one was signing him. No one was giving him bookings. Again, he had great matches on the indie circuit, but he literally was this tattooed bearded guy that was just on the indie circuit, and he was really ready to just hang it up. And then he said, you know what? Fuck it. If I'm going out, I'm going to go out guns blazing. And this is what people liked. And this is what happened. And he's money. He's absolutely money.
It goes to show kids, don't go to school. Follow in the footsteps of Danhausen, the wonderfully kindly evil footsteps of Danhausen, and follow your dreams.
It is very evil, but also very nice.
also, Shinsi in the chat says, Danhausen, I worship Danhausen. Yes, Danhausen also worships Danhausen. Omar, are you a Fanhausen? Yes, Omar, it's a Fanhausen.
We're all Fanhausens.
We're all Fanhausens up in here. Love it. Trevor, anything else you want to tell us about the one and the only Danhausen?
No, I think that's it. And please look at his YouTube page. I Love Danhausen, I believe.
Yeah, it's I Love Danhausen. Oh my god, I literally was watching a video of him at a comic book store before we came on the air, and I was just like,
he has another one with him and Ethan Page at a fast food restaurant, and all Ethan Page is wearing is an apron.
That's something. That's something in it. Okay, well, thank you for that wonderfully evil look at Fanhausen. Let me see what else we got on the Oh, how could I forget? How could I forget, Trevor, about the wonderfully, wonderfully evil thing we have planned here? Oh, that's also not, but that's not Danhausen. It's Nick freaking Gage. He's back. Nick freaking Gage. Ooh, this was fun travel. Actually, give me 1 second. Let me get the graphics ready for this real quick. In the meantime, guys, if you haven't already, remember to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Trevor, let's talk about it. This past week, we had a match. Not just any kind of match. It was a no-holds-barred GCW match. Oh, God. So, the GCW World title was on the line. Nick Gage defended his championship against Matt Cardona. These two have been feuding since Matt Cardona attacked Nick Gage at a GCW show just a few months ago. And this match was bloody. It was painful to watch. And by the end of it, it had literally everyone in the arena up in their seats and up in arms. Cardona defeated Nick Gage at Homecoming to become the new GCW heavyweight champion. And afterwards, he held up the belt, and literally the fans in the arena started pelting Cardona with everything that was available. We'll talk about that in a minute, but Trevor, you're a huge Nick Gage fan. What do you think about Cardona beating Nick Gage, especially at a time right now where Nick Gage is catching some steam and, actually catching fire amongst mainstream wrestling fans as well?
So here's my thing. Like, and I think I've spoken out about how I feel about Long Island Ice Z too. Like, I actually do like Matt Cardona. I do, and I've said that before. I like some of his work that actually meant anything in WWE. I loved his online championship. I loved his persona. It was annoying, but it was great. Nick Gage losing the belt. So I talked about it earlier. So Nick Gage was pretty much made to be the star of this promotion. His buddy was head of this, helping start this promotion, and Nick needed some work, and Nick was down out. So this was the idea they had. So Nick has held that belt for a while now. But with the steam from, like you said, from Dark Side of the Ring, and even showing his face in a major promotion for the first time I think first time ever, actually.
Yeah, no, first time ever.
He's catching steam. Maybe him losing the belt was one of those things of, hey, you have given all you could, such an obligation to GCW. Let's help you make some more money. Let's help you make a name for yourself. Let's put the burden on someone else for a while. And maybe that's what it is. I mean, and don't get me wrong, it was a hellacious match. Anyone who's a fan of this style of wrestling would have loved this match. Matt Cardona's shirt ended up red. It started off white.
Yeah. Oh my God. It was.
The lacerations on his back were fucking crazy.
They're so gross. I can't show them on YouTube. Like,
you can't. You really can't. Like, he was showing them on his Instagram, close up of him. It's ridiculous. And he went. And the funny shit is, he went to Disneyland right after it, and with his arm all taped up and shit, and it was still bleeding. And you could still see the blood coming through. And dude, I love asshole Matt Cardona. He is showing up everywhere with the belt. Like, he's doing this whole Pabst Blue Ribbon thing. He's sponsored by Pabst, I think. And he's like drinking beer after the GCW win, and while the announcer's talking to him, telling the fans to fuck off. Dude, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. I think this is good for GCW and also good for Nick Gage.
I think it's good for both of them as well. I think that what this allows GCW to have is Matt Cardona needed to win this match because it gives GCW a little bit more credibility and a little bit more attention. Like, you got people who are like, oh, wait, what's Zack Ryder up to? Like casual wrestling, like, what's Zack Ryder up to? And they might see this and be like, oh, wow, he's in GCW. What's this? And then they go see Nick Gage and they're like, holy shit, this guy is crazy. And then they discover more. And look, that's how you bring fans in. It's great. I think he did a lot better than a lot of GCW fans probably thought he would be in this role.
He did really well. Actually.
He was brutalizing Nick Gage with those light tubes at the end of the match. Like, go out and watch the match unless you're really, really squeamish. If you're squeamish about blood and all that, don't watch this match. But it was an amazing match. I liked it, and I think that it's just great for Nick Gage because it kind of allows him to go do other stuff as well. But it also kind of builds up the legend of Nick Gage as he comes back and will come back to beat Matt Cardona for his belt.
Well, he will, definitely will, and don't get it wrong. Like, I know most people, just to put a bow on this particular segment, I know most people think that the extreme wrestlers can't wrestle. That's horseshit. That is completely bogus. Jon Moxley was a extreme wrestler and is very talented in the ring. Nick Gage, very talented in the ring. Matt Cardona is very talented in the ring, but he also showed a side of himself the other night where he can get down and dirty. And honestly, I loved it. I loved every second of it.
I totally agree. You know who didn't love every second of this match, though? One big tuna, Dave Meltzer, did not love this match. Well, he didn't like the aftermath. So after the match, Matt Cardona wins the GCW title. And then we see fans pelting Cardona with everything. It was just filled with trash. He was dodging the bottles and the cans.
Those metal
Yeah, the
Beer
aluminum
bottle.
cans. It was not great. It was not great looking. But Meltzer sent out this tweet after this, and he says, I'm sure people will make their lame excuses for it or say how great the heat was, but this crowd reaction was such bullshit and such an embarrassment to the industry. Strong words by Wrestling Observer Dave Meltzer here. What do you think about his comments here? Are they fair or foul? Because I feel like it could go out kind of either way.
I think so too. I want so a couple of things. One in particular, it's a different style of wrestling. It's a different atmosphere. You know what I mean? So it's different. The fans act different. You know what I mean? And two, that's very, very hypocritical, especially when Hulk Hogan got hit with shit when he turned the NWO, and that wasn't bad for wrestling. So, I mean, it's kind of a double-edged sword. Yeah, did they act like savages? Yeah, I mean, true. But like, you got somebody coming into their world and dethroning their king. This is how wrestling fans are supposed to act. You know, it was just like when the so-called quote unquote "eat your vitamins, brother," say your prayers, brother, turned into this Hollywood Hogan and pretty much said fuck the fans. Like. And they start throwing shit at him. It's one of those things that's warranted.
Here's what I'll say. When you get this visceral reaction from the crowd, it is good heat. It is good heat to get this visceral reaction. When they're throwing stuff like, like those little cups, like styrofoam cups or those plastic cups, like that's fine. That's fine.
But the aluminum
the aluminum cans was what I was worried about. And then I think Brian Alvarez actually made a good point about this. I read online. He made the point that, yeah, so like the cups and everything, that's fine, right? Like that can be considered fine and good heat, whatever. But it only takes one fan to throw a battery. It only takes one fan to take it too far, which I do see that as being a problem, especially when you got like a rowdy bunch. But embarrassment to the industry is, I think, a stretch because you ask Matt Cardona. If you ask Matt Cardona, I don't think Matt Cardona minded it too much. Because he was raving about it. He almost got a promo about it like right after it happened. Like he was like, I don't know, embarrassment. I think he's capping a bit. I think Meltzer just in his feels. But who's definitely in their feels? GCW, because Trevor, after this, GCW came out with a shirt that legit just has the Meltzer tweet on there.
That's
a picture
great
of Matt Cardona getting
I
pelted.
want this shirt.
Well, you can go to gcw.com/shop or something,
That's
whatever.
awesome.
Go Google it. But this is an amazing shirt. It's literally just they screenshotted the tweet and then the picture of Cardona getting pelted.
It's fucking brilliant. That's what it is. It's
gonna sell.
brilliant.
It's going to sell because there are a lot of people out there who love to hate Dave Meltzer.
Yeah.
And also,
it's absolutely brilliant. It is. It's smart as hell.
I love it. I love it when carny wrestling promoters do carny things. Guys, we're about to wrap up the live show. Any questions in the chat? Ask away in the last few minutes of this show, guys. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, right after this show is over, we got our post show on patreon.com/Real Take Sports. Be sure to join the $5 a month tier to get access to that.
Since he did correct us, it's called Love That Danhausen.
Oh, I love that Danhausen. I love that Danhausen too. Thank you. Oh, turtles.
Turtle. Yeah, did you ever see that Darby Allin We'll talk about this in the post game, actually.
Oh, yeah, good.
We'll talk about this in the overtime. Any last minute questions, guys? Go ahead and ask them because we had a fun, wild time here today. This was a good one. It's a good one. It was a good episode. It's a good episode. And we finished on time for the first time in years. We're getting good at this. Should Finn Balor win? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Easy answer. Yes.
Yes. Will he win?
Yes.
Absolutely not.
No. Well, it's the Zodiac. Will Finn Balor win? Yes. Should he or is he going to win? Or sorry, should Finn Balor win? Yes. Will he win? No. Yes. No.
Yes.
No. And then Vince just comes here and is like, no, pal. No.
No, pal.
Goddamn. No. Yes. No. I love Booker T. Yes.
Shit.
No.
Do we have a fan question this week?
I mean, I didn't look. I mean, we got fans questions every week. We got
That's
the
fine.
chat
Yeah,
now, so
yeah.
we're good. I think, yeah, we'll just end it right there, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. This has been another episode of Real Take Wrestle Talk, guys. Oh, I almost forgot to plug the big thing that I wanted to plug this whole time because I'm a carny mark for myself,
Terrible.
guys. Remember, we have our live stream for the NBA draft. We're going to be starting our coverage of the NBA draft 7 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday night. Andrew's going to join me to do that. We're going to be breaking down each different draft pick, going through, telling you who gets drafted. Live coverage of that coming on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern. So subscribe if you're interested in that. Subscribe, and if you're not, if you're interested in wrestling, still subscribe. Subscribe.
Subscribe. Then Helton wants you to subscribe.
Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Trevor, any parting thoughts?
Danhausen's awesome. Peace.
Danhausen is awesome. Since he just said gonna be there for the Cavs to choke on a pick. If they choke on this pick, I'm a Cavs fan. I will scream.
Oh, he won't. He might have a heart attack if they choke.
I genuinely might. It's not gonna be pretty. It's not. Don't know.
The Celtics are probably gonna choke on one too. So
no, Celtics.
or just grab someone and not use them at all. You know what? I'm not talking about basketball.
We will see you guys later. Again, post-game show on patreon.com/Real Take Sports. Join us there.